Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, thank you, Mark, for the introduction. It's very kind of you. But, well, needless to say, I do have a YouTube channel. However, it's just me and my computer. This is my actually first speak in a seminar, so bear with me. Again, it's so nice to see everybody here today. My name is Peach. I'm a licensed CLS and CQA-SQ certificate. It's, very nice to see everybody here on Saturday, especially, just showing how dedicated we are to our professions. And that's going to lead to today's topic with our quality. Quality and safety is always in the center of everything that we do in the lab, even though a lot of time we don't really think about it until something happens. It's like, oops, this happened. What do we do? Like, running to our safety or QA coordinators. But today, if we take a look at the deficiencies over the past 5 years, maybe it can, help us take a look or at least give us a way to how do we do a root cause analysis and help prevent that from happening again. And we are doing a look back for the past 5 years, maybe, like why 5 years? Because CAP actually does a really good job at, CAP does a very good job at, refining, revising their checklist, making sure that it is easy to understand, and also, easy for people to satisfy that checklist. If they notice that their checklist is not clear for any reasons, they would adjust and make the revisions and give the update. So anything longer than 5 years may not be relevant anymore. So we're looking at 5 years. Another reason we're taking a look at data in the past 5 years because each year CAP does over 4,000 inspections in 63 countries. So over the past 5 years, that's kind of massive data already. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention one thing. So I'm here as a CAP spokesperson today. So all this data came directly from CAP. Okay, but let's, start today's sections. But also kind of keep some of these questions in your mind. CAP tell us what they are going to be looked at by giving you the CAP checklist, right? CAP also tell us when they're coming because we have a inspection window. In the checklist, it also tell us how to satisfy each of those checklists. But really, why do we have reoccurring deficiencies? And you'll be surprised when we see, what those reoccurring deficiencies are. Okay, here are some roadmap for today's sections. If it's playing, it's okay. It's okay. Without technical difficulty, it won't be a seminar, right? And also just to let you know, I make my PowerPoint in PC, and today is Mac, and there's maybe a little, but it's okay. We're going to make it work. Okay, so here's some today roadmap. We're going to have a pre-knowledge check, gets our brain warm up and thinking about CAP because, it is a big part of our laboratory life. We're going to discuss some of, what CAP is, how do we look at the checklist, because I know we have some new blood here, and we have a lot of seasoned CLS, but we have some new people here, so that will get them understand what the CAP checklist is and how to read it, because they're going to replace it one day, so we want them to be interested in QA and safety. Okay, and we're gonna have, really taking a hard look at the data and also doing the root cause analysis and maybe giving some suggestion tools that you can use to help eliminate or maybe, not having it in your deficiency again. So that would be our goals. And then we have some post-knowledge check. And at the very end, I have some bonus sections, so stay tuned. Okay, the first one, what is the primary goal of CAP inspections? A, B, C, D? Anyone? C. Yeah, correct. C. CAP is about peer improvement process. I'm inspecting your lab today, you're inspecting my lab the next day. There's a big chance, for us to collaborate, help each other, to see like, hey, how I'm doing, how do you do that one, get our like improvements connecting with each other. It's not about punitive. If there's things that it can be improved, we can discuss and then make an improvement. The deficiency is just a way to tell you, maybe take a look at this, maybe pay attention to this. It's not to tell you, it's not about punitive. So please don't feel too bad about it, but it's something that if you don't have it, it's even better, right? Next, which of the following is the key components of quality management systems? Am I blocking anybody?
C.
Yes, that's right. C, procedures and policy. Without them, we may turn into a fast food restaurant, like have it your way, because everybody doing their own way, But if anybody wanted to sponsor me, we have it one right here, down the road, if you know what I'm referring to. Okay, next, is it true or false? A deficiency cited during CAP inspections must be corrected even if it doesn't result in patient harms. Yes, that's right. It is true. Like I said earlier, CAP is about improvement process, not about punitive. So we wanted to catch the mistakes or potential mistake events before it reached the patients. We wanted to improve on it and not having it to be turned into like a disaster when it reaches the patients or causing the patient harm. Next, what does a deficiencies during a CAP inspections indicate? A, B, C? C? Yeah, right, that C is correct. The non-compliant with CAP inspections. And the way that we have these deficiencies, it's just like how we have the data that we collected and do today, is that, during the inspections, the inspector found that maybe something were not too satisfactory to the CAP standard. So they let you know maybe there's something you can take a look at, maybe offer you some guidance, how to improve on it. Because a lot of things, if we look at it every single day, it can turn blind to us, right? That's just happened to all of us. Nobody is an exceptions here. So it just kind of bring you to your attention, and we can work on it. Okay, I think this is the last one. Why is it important to review the lab activity menus before CAP inspections? Not to get citation that one, but that's not what we have here. Yeah, that's right. To verify that all the testings that listed in CAP inspection is what you really doing in your lab. Because what CAP also does right before the inspection is they review your lab activity menus. They are generated lab specifics CAP inspections checklist, and they send that to the inspector. If you tell CAP that you only have point of care testing at your location, but the inspectors show up, with their packages and with only the point of care, they show up with like a full traditional lab setup. You are risking a big compliance issues there, because do you complying with all the requirements to have a traditional lab setup? Maybe yes, most likely not, right? Because CAP does provide a guideline on there. How do you do it? What are the things that you have to follow? What are the documents that require for your lab to be up to standard? So it is important for you to make sure that your CAP activity menu is up to date. Okay, so this is just one example of what the CAP checklist look like. I mean, a lot of you might be familiar with it already for seasoned CLSs, but for like the new blood here, new CLSs, this is just one checklist, and there are like three big components to it. One is the checklist number. So when you get the citations, it's referred to a checklist number. So that is the number that we're referring it to. And it's short descriptions of what each checklist mean, or what it's about for that items. And then we also have a place where it tells you how to satisfy that checklist. So if you read the whole thing and follow it, you should be able to not get citation, you think? But if it's absolutely true, I won't be here today, right? But this checklist is actually over 500 pathologists and laboratory expert people come together to write the checklist and reviewed it, making sure that it is stay current with all the other regulatory body as well, not just, the CAP. They're also looking at like FDAs, all these other regulatory body that CAP does kind of review and update it, making sure that if you follow CAP inspections or CAP inspection checklist, you will stay current with the regulatory regulations. Now, let's look at the hard data here. Are we ready for that? So let's start with 2020 is as our base. So here, I'm sorry if it's a little hard to see. If you look at these, so these are the top 10 deficiencies in that year. Okay, 2020. If you tell me that these are the deficiencies that happened in that year, what do you think I would do for the next year? Really take a close look and not repeat it, right? You think? Let's look at it. Majority of them are still the same, right? We have this bottleneck still existing in the top 10. We have some movement up here. What about 2022? Really? Maybe give it some hope, okay? We are living. Yes, that's part of it. But still look pretty much the same. Same with 23. Same with 24. Yes, good observations. Yes, the bottom one just won't go away. It just stay there for the past 5 years. And then some of you might sitting here and thinking about, hold on, Peach. We only get inspected every other year. So some of this data doesn't apply to us, right? But then if you think about it, it doesn't matter how you cut it. Your lab represented here at least twice. So maybe you don't get these citations, but it does representing us as a whole, as a CLS, and how we perform or our lab quality, which the patient's, safety, the quality of our result is the center of what we do already, but we do need to push it even further. Let's see if we can, step it up even more. When we're looking at this, maybe I was thinking when I first looked at it, I was thinking maybe some of this may be on its way out, like maybe this one were gold, the number 1, and then it's on its way out of the chart, right? It just takes a little bit of time because things take time to implement, things take time to improve, get people habit, going. So let's rank them. We're just gonna do the top 3 because that's just, all we have time for today. So that's our number 1, number 2, number 3. Now let's play again. What do you think happened in 2021? Things on its way out, they're shifting down. That's my hope. Exactly the same. Yeah. What about 2022? We do a little bit better. Things are kind of on its way out with some movement there, What about 23? Yeah, so those 3 are just really not going away. They're not budging, but what can we do to give it a little nudge, maybe we can find some useful tools today that I will, talk about. Maybe not, but maybe we can brainstorm it together. So if we give it some point and then add it all up, these are the top 3. So gold medal, I don't know who really proud of that one, but the gold medals go to COM 1200, which is CAP activity menus inaccurate. Number 2 went to Gen 55500, non-waived competencies not assessed properly. And number 3, COM 10000, procedures menu not accessible. Don't have to raise your hands if your labs have, repeated competencies, don't laugh. Any one of this out, don't feel bad. You're not the only one. However, there's are ways that we can improve and maybe not have it reoccurring again. Okay, before we really go into like the deep dive and do the root cause analysis, we have to ask ourselves some of these honest questions. Have you accepted the citations? What I mean is, have you acknowledged that, yes, this is something that we can work on, not just like brush it off. Oh, that's just, like the inspector being too harsh. This is nothing. Let's just write something and then forget about it. But have you really accept and then acknowledge that there's an area of improvement that we can improve on? Like it's something that we can do. So it, starting from us, right? Have we acknowledged that deficiencies? Then have your organizations really acknowledged that there is an issue? You need support. You need support from your line staff, because they are the ones who doing the work. You need support from the supervisor, managers, medical director. We need everybody's support. Everybody have to acknowledge it so that we can fix this together. Next is the deficiency is systems or a human error? Or maybe you have both in your locations, right? Because we need to know if where are we gonna fix things? Is it the human issues? Is it the system issues? Who are the player here? Who can we get involved? Who can we ask them for help to improve on these issues? So for like just a quick example, if I have a specimen in my hand with label, just load it on the analyzer. The analyzer doesn't read. Keep loading on, it doesn't read, take it out. Oh, the sample is blurry. The label is blurry. What do? I don't want to go to the label printer and print out another one. Let's just type in the number. And then the results came out. It went to the wrong patient. So is that a human error? Right? Because I make that mistake, right? It's the individual, it's the person's. However, it doesn't matter who get put into that bench. Everybody kind of repeat the same mistake. Is that tell you like maybe there's something about that label? Maybe there's something. So maybe like the label printer is just so far, like it's in like 3 hall down, like 2 blocks away or something. They don't want it to go there and reprint the labels. Or like maybe you found out that the label, it spit out the blurry label every 10 label that it print out. So that turned into a system error. So, doing that root cause analysis and not just immediately kind of pinpoint the persons, it's also one way that we can taking a look at the big picture here. Okay, let's talk about our first place in repeated offender for the CAP deficiency is the CAP activity menus inaccurate. It doesn't play in order, but okay. So, and just to, point it out, this is my shorted version. It's not a full descriptions of the CAP. You can refer to the actual CAP checklist items here on CAP website. Anybody can go on there, type this in, and take a look. And what this one is telling you is just you're not doing or you are doing more than what you tell CAP you'll be doing in your lab in like a testing wise, right? Why did this keep happening? Oh, now it's want to show up. So this is the full one, but yes, it's, maybe too small to read. You can refer to it on a CAP website. And also just think of like updating your CAP activity menus, like you're updating your address when you are moving. If you don't update your address, your Amazon, your bills might go to the old address and you're not going to get your package. I won't worry about the junk mail. Somehow it always finds its way to me. It doesn't matter where I move. I try. So if we think about it, one of the components that would cause this deficiency to happen over and over again is human oversight. A human error. We'll just put things to the back burner, be like, oh, we'll do that later. It's okay. We'll we'll do it later. We'll do it before the inspections. We'll do it. And then it just, later never comes, right? That could be part of it. There could be poor communications, hey, please do it for me. And then like, oh yes. So I thinking that it's already been done. And then you'll be like, maybe, I get too busy. Hey, please do it for me. Pass it on. And never have like a look back or check back of like, when was it really done? When was it done? And I understand that a lot of times it's not a one person's decisions to add or remove tests, right? We can have like a live tech who notice like, hey, this test, I've been loading on the reagent and I have to take it out, throw it away with over 100 tests left on the cartridge because they would never use it on it. And if the tech ever bring that up to you, you really have to appreciate that person, right? Because they actually pay attention to what they're doing. And then, supervisor, take a look, do analysis, do a look back, report it to the manager, lab director, medical director. So there's this a chain of command that we have to follow. And then they have to make the decisions of like, are we adding? Are we keeping? Are we removing? Those tests. But do we even have like a sign? Who is actually on that process? Who's going to be following up? Do we have a trigger of like, when do we do the follow-ups? Hey, it's been 5 months. We have not heard back from my manager. What are we going to do with this? Are we keeping it? Because it's really important, tests. It will save the patient life in case of emergencies or whatever. But even though we don't have volume for this, but it is crucial for us to have on site. Well, I don't know. I already reported. Just forget about it because nobody owned the process and we have no trigger point to actually look back of what we do. But in the lab, well, you know what? We're not doing this test, so maybe let's not order it. Well, the reagent expired, so now you actually don't have tests in the lab, but it is listed on your test activity menus. There was no direct communication from the higher up saying that add, remove, delete, stop, pause, whatever. So, there's a lot of communication breakdowns that we can fix. There may be even a confusion of what needs to be on the CAP checklist itself. For example, if I'm thinking I'm going to start doing electronic cross-match here. Since electronic cross-match, not a human actually doing the test, the computer system does it for me. Maybe I don't have to enter it in. Who knows? It's a computer. Let's just not enter it or update it, right? In frequency review, there's no checkpoint of like, hey, let's take a look at what we do and update the checklist every so often, like every 6 months, every year. Do you even have that time point, have that checkpoint in your laboratory being implemented? Here are some, prevention strategies that maybe you can use to help out. And some of these strategies are repeated even with other checklists or other items, because once you implemented it, you can actually apply it toward so many other things. And when that become a habit, that will help us with decreasing the repetitive citations as well. So assign ownership, making sure somebody owning the process. So like, hey, have it in the policy. If it's chemistry supervisor, you are responsible. If you haven't heard from me for 2 months, maybe, email me, follow up. Hey, where is that process? Do you have it? Is it still in discussion? Is it in work group somewhere? Are we keep doing it? Are we pausing it for now? What are we doing? Having a regular schedule review, set it every June, every January, set it a timeline anytime, but please stick to that schedule. Because it's important to not just like have it on a schedule and then just brush it off. Have a set schedules and make sure you follow it. Checklist. Okay, you can have what we have in one of the lab that I saw when we did the inspection is that they have a worksheet actually for when they doing either adding or removing a test, they will have a worksheet, and that it will including what test it is, the name of the test, who initiated, who is the owner of this process. So that person's, when you put your name down, you're assigned ownership to individuals to follow up. There's on one of the columns, it will have, manager, work group, director, regional. So it listed out all the steps that it has to go through. At the end, you'll have you updated the CAP activity menus. And then it even have a verifier at the very bottom. So now you have a double check. You have the process, making sure that the process is complete on the worksheet, and you have somebody that's already verified that it is being updated in the system. You can do a mock inspections. A mock inspection is very helpful, not just for this checklist items, but for the whole inspections. But again, you have to take it seriously, not just like, oh, don't write that. Tell your friends from other departments who come to inspect you, like, oh, don't write that. It's okay, I'll fix it. I already know about it. I'm working on it. Have a documentation that's something so you can referring back to, because things happen. Things get hectic in our day-to-day life, and we could forget about it. And last is the CAP actually have master activity menus. So the example I used before is the is the blood bank if they have an electronic cross-match, right? If you're not sure, go to CAP website, download the CAP master activity menus. It lists it there, so you can compare what tests you have available at your locations, compare it with the master, list. If it's there, it's better be updated on your account. Okay, here are some tools, and very simple. I'm trying to use what people have available already. Excel comes very handy because you can list out all your SOP. When it's been reviewed, has it been updated? Has anything changed? Need an update? Need a lab update? Send it out to other departments or not? You can list it all out, and have your important date listed across. And here is some examples of a worksheet that you can do. It's just a simple setup. You have the date, when it starts, who started it. This kind of listed out your process, all of the steps that you need to follow, and then have somebody check at the end that it has been done. The next one is Gen 55500 is non-waived competencies not assessed properly. This one had been updated in 2021. Like I said, if we look back more than 5 years, it may not be relevant anymore because the checklists get updated quite often. For this one, a lot of people actually surprised when they get citation because they think, hey, I do my direct observation. I follow all these 6 elements. Why are you still citing me for it? Well, partial satisfaction is still count as non-satisfactions for CAP. If you satisfy only part of the checklist, you still can get cited for that checklist items. And a lot of time people are misunderstand or group things together when it's supposed to be separate. For example, if you are doing blood type and your location does, blood type in tube, blood type in gel, blood type in solid phase, that's the 3 direct observations you have to perform on each of the tech who perform that test. However, I have seen the lab that no. It's a direct observation. I do have a direct observations in blood typing. Yes, you do. You have it only on 1 method, but you are released patient results on all 3 methods. So that's why people get citation for that. So maybe some, misunderstandings. If you do have different methods of reporting one test, you do need a direct observations on all those tests or on all those methods, sorry. Oh, here's the full versions. Please refer to it on the CAP website because it's just too small for us to read and too long for us to really read all of them here right now. The CAP checklist if you know, let me bring it to like perspective here. If you like, the first time we all get our driver license, we go to the DMV, we take the test, you know, they're making sure that we start the car correctly, we park correctly, we can drive straight, we know what the signals are, you know, red, green, yellow. We know how to turn correctly, not hitting pedestrian, you know, they can go first. But now if you are doing the test and one of your evaluator comes and be like, okay, start your car, move a little bit, okay, you drive like 5 inches and be like, you're passed. Does that mean you're really safe on the road? Is it really safe for everybody out there on the road with you? Right, so that is why we really have to do our, like this, all the 6 elements, like making sure that each of the methods, not just one, not just blood type on gel, but when you have all 3, make sure you do the observations, make sure that everybody get refreshing, like, you know, of the correct process every year. Here, let's look at the 6 elements. Again, too long, don't like it, too wordy. Let's look at this. Okay, the first one, direct observations. You know, like example I gave before, like blood type. If you do have blood type in 3 different methods, do direct observations on 3. Next thing is the monitoring and recordings of the results. Performing the correct testing, you know, get the correct test results, that's part of it. That's one thing, wonderful. But then if you report it wrong, if you have blood type O, but you reported B, you know, it's still wrong, right? And that is a huge mistake if we ever transfuse that patient's that ABO incompatibility. Number 3, reviews of initials results or weekly. This is more for like a supervisor or lead or whoever get like a sign or destiny to review, making sure that the control is reviewed, making sure the QCs are reviewed, you know, all of those are reviewed. Why? Well, those are like double check. It's a QC or QA in progress, not progress, sorry. In like procedures to making sure that everything has been checked, you know, your QC is in line. That means your results is valid. Number 4, the observations on the, basically your maintenance. Has the maintenance been maintained correctly? Because incorrectly maintaining the instruments, the instrument breakdowns, now you have a delay in, you know, patient care, you delay in resulting. You may have a protein carryover in your probe that interfere with the test results. So all of that play a role. There's a reason why they're on there. You know, the blind sample, those are the proficiency tests that we have the tech performs every year, at least once a year. And remember, if you're new, you have to perform the semi-annual too, so after 6 months. And that was a lot of people miss because they forgot, you know, after 3 months, you're pro already, go out and already train a new tech. But don't laugh, it's happened. And number 6, lastly, is assess the problem-solving skills. So for me, when I have to do it, I like to kind of combine it with number 1, with the direct observation. So if I'm watching the new persons do performing their, let's say, a screen on the gel, and then I will pick like the one with like, let's say, a mixed feel, and be like, hey, well, that's mixed feel. What could cause that mixed feel? Right? You can have conversations. You can see how your tech is troubleshooting. Do they still retaining their knowledge of blood bank? You know, really not just manual, because that could be replaced by machines. Here, you can't replace by machines. You know, your knowledge, your experience. So making sure that you also pass on what you learn to the new generations, and you know, have them keep repeating it, saying it over every year, and they can, hopefully, if they encounter that problems, they know how to resolve the issues. Like, hey, how is that mixed fields, you know? Patient just transfused, patient have transplant, cold. How do you fix it? So like, you know, have that communication, conversations, and you can assess. And also, don't forget to document. documentation is the key, because when it's not documented, it's never happened. Just remember, the inspector is not there with you every day. They showed up one day as a stranger, walking in your lab, coming into our space and be like, show me a document that you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing. And we need a clear documentations that tell them, hey, I did this. These are the proof. Okay, what could have caused this is the knowledge gaps. Some people, the knowledge gap could be, like I said, they group together of all the different methods on one single test, or they're not documented properly. Oversight. Oh, this one, I love it. I saw one of the lab has they so scared that people will miss their competency. So at every January, they pass out a whole package of the competency to every single employee, regardless of what section they work in. So if I'm only working blood bank, I will get this thick package with micro, chemistry, hematology, everything is in that package. So that means everything has to be NA, initial date. Well, you know what? It's such a thick package. There's so many observations. There's so many things to check on. People missed it. Now what? It's not a citation, right? So it has to be, yes, stay flexible, but also customizable to a certain point so that you can also prevent that easy citations from coming around, right? You don't want people to be carrying that package and just write over half of it just NA. It doesn't give any informations, but a way for you to get citation for it. Okay, is there a trigger point to check with the technicians, that you are overseeing, that had they completed their competencies? You can check assign it, hematology is every January. Okay, anybody who doing hematology tests in every January, you better do your competency. So if you have that schedule posted, well, now if you forget, the tech will hopefully come to you like, hey, it's January and I work in hematology. How come I have not get my competency yet? Okay, decentralization is, again, well, I'm too busy. Please do the right observation for me. A, well, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to do it with B. Okay, well, B doing it. And then it's oh, wait, no, I don't know how to do this either. Maybe we'll just do each other. And now, right? Things get diluted. So if you do assign to someone, make sure communications, again, you tell them what you needed, direct communication, what you needed. If you encounter the problem, please let me know. Give them feedback, go back and forth, making sure that they're clear on what you are asking them to do. The direct observation is not just to be check, check, check. You really need to watch that they are following the SOP. Actually, I kind of combine some of those in the same slice, but assign the ownership. So making sure that somebody knows who is responsible for that observations. If it's A is responsible for it, then A better, there are also need to be time that you kind of check with them and making sure that they report back, have a timeline to check it, a schedules to see when, like I said, it is January hematology, February chemistry, all of this, etc. Keep running down the line. We can also use technology to our benefit. There are a middleware that you can use to lock people out from the analyzer if they overdue for their competency. So now you won't have, or actually have less issue. Let's say, well, Peach go on vacations in January, and she also work in hematology. So that means in January, Peach will not get her competency done. But then when she come back in February, hey, I can't log in. I cannot log into my analyzer. It's supervisor, please. I think I forget my password. I think that's the first thing people default to. I forget my password. Please let me, reset my password. Let me in. And then you look and be no, you're not. you get locked out because you did not complete your competency. Here, the competency completed. Let's go, like do it, and then you can get reactivate. So that's one way that you can, prevent people's or setting a limit of how long they can be without or in between their competencies. Also, the audit is also one of them. You can, making sure that, hey, I look back, I already, people are finished in my sections. So that's one thing that we can always do for all of these deficiencies, which is the audit. Like I said again, make sure you take it seriously. A lot of time over and over again, people just say like, hey, you're my friend, don't make me look bad, okay? Just don't write it. Tell me, just don't write it down. Okay, there are tools that we can use. Excel is excellent. You can schedule, post it on the board, making sure people knows what this month they are due, or you can include other sections on there like safety inspections for the labs, review of the SOP, have the mock inspection. So now people know what they are expecting for that month. They can plan ahead of time. And we can also list it your technician's name for each. Oh, sorry, am I blocking people? Each of the sections, right? And with their due date, and the Excel can even highlight for you when somebody is overdue, almost, due, or if they're competent or they completed their competencies. So they can do this automatically. If you don't know how to do it, if you email me, this is very easy to set up. Okay, and here is an example. You can use just Word, or even Excel can do this also for your documentations for direct observations. You list it out, and each of these steps, it actually follows the SOP. So the observer can have something that they can refer back to as well, that like, oh yeah, this is the first step, this is the second step, making sure that the steps are followed, as well as making sure that everything had been followed correctly. You need to document what the observation is, who do the observations. Same thing with like thawing, I guess. I do love blood bank. A lot of the example here is blood bank. Thawing, like even with the process, how we do it, had been verified, it updated in the LIS systems. So like every process in your laboratory needed to have a direct observations. Okay, next, how are we doing with the time? Good? Okay. Yes, so this is the last one, right? For COM 1000, procedures menu not assessed. This doesn't mean that you do not have a procedures menu in your, sections, but it also includes the one that you have the old SOP laying around. That's what we found a lot, or most of the time, that people are still holding on to their version 1 when they first get hired 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then today they're still referring to that. Like, I have my note on there. I'm referring to this one. But that note was written 50 years ago as well, when they first started. Right? We have to train people how to actually look at the current one. Yes, we can't stop people from, like printing it out. Actually, there are softwares that you can stop people from printing it out now. But if they're holding on to that one, which is fine, CAP is okay with you having a printout for, quick referring to. But if we put the date on the bottom of every single page, have it set, then now you can train the people looking at the date. If the date is there is, more than a year, more than 6 months, whatever you want to set as your policy, before you refer to it, maybe check first. Maybe your 50 years ago policy is still current one. Who knows? Hope not, but hopefully, okay? But if it's still a current one, if that's what it is in the current system, okay, you can keep it. You can keep using it. But if it's not, please reprint it. If you feel better, you have it in your pocket, please reprint. So we can train people to do that, or, educate them. Right? Here's the full CAP checklist, again, just we can always refer to it on the CAP website. This one, let me give you a quick example just to stay relevant so it can, link to our daily life, right? Just like if you use an outdated GPS that have not been updated for 5 years, how do you think you're going to get from point A to point B? I don't know about you, but I know I will be lost because there's new road, the road closure, maybe there's traffic that I have to take a detour. So you have to stay updated, making sure that, it's same thing with procedure and policies. Maybe now there's a reagent had improved, the last 50 years. Maybe it said that you don't need to wait 10 minutes. Now it's only 3 minutes. Well, you can speed up the process, right? So that's why it is important. Why? A lot of time I see lack of version control is one of the things where people don't know. Well, it's just a printout. I don't know what version it is. How can I tell when there's nothing written on it? There's nothing saying that or kind of trigger me as when to check with the system. When is it a new one? Is it an old one? Right? So that's why I suggest if we can have a versions and a date at the bottoms of every page, not just the first page, at every page. So it doesn't matter, because a lot of time what I see also, and I was one of them, when I printed out the first cover page, gone, throw it away, because I don't need that. I need the second page with actually telling me what do I do, number 1, number 2, number 3. So that's why if you have that on every page, it will prevent people like me that toss out the first page. Right? Okay, QA oversight. So this might have to be from, get the help from your QA persons to actually implement it, making sure that that is a format for every section, right? Because you may be in charge of your section. You're in hematology, you're in charge of hematology, you implemented that, but maybe it's not the same thing for chemistry, but it's something that if we can do it like uniformly. So people who are working in both departments, they can get used to of like seeing those date on the bottoms and having to check the current version. Okay, making sure that the manual's information is updated. This one I see it too, and I experienced it before. It was a new tech as well. The supervisor come in, but starting today, we are going to do this, okay? I don't have time to update. I will update it later. Just do what I tell you to do. Well, 2 years from that date, and it was still not updated. When the inspector comes, like, no, this is how we do it. This is how we've been doing it. So the whole lab, actually the whole department got cited for like none of your people following the SOP. Because SOP was actually old, but that one was never updated. Okay, and workload versus compliance, does it match? Like your workload and what we're asking our people to do, does it match? Are we compromising patient care to do the paperwork or vice versa? We also have to take a look at that as well as like a supervisor or manager, making sure that we are not asking too much, but at the same time keeping them efficient at the bench and focusing on patient care. Okay, here's some tools that we can use. Assigned ownerships. Okay, we can assign like who's responsible, who is the designated team leader, managers, making sure that they own the process, reminding people in their sections, hey, if you have one of those printouts, check to see, oh, and this is include things that you posted on the wall, okay? I think one of the inspection I found, what posted on the wall was 1988, and I found that this year. Is the instructions on how to load an analyzer. I feel like, I don't think your analyzer is the same one from 1988. But the poster on there, it has the date. It's very good, very advanced. It has the date on there and the year. It's like 1988, version 1. Yeah, but needless to say, it got removed right away. Okay, visible version control, like I said, on the bottoms or on the top as well, if that worked for your locations, staff training, making sure you train them, like before you follow any printed instructions, take a look at the date on there. If you are not sure if it's longer than 6 months or a year, check the computer first, check the system. Okay, they have a mock inspections. When you take it seriously, it's a helpful tool to use. We can use our Excels, our lovely Excels. We can have a software. There are software that I've been inspected. This one place that use it. They call Media Lab. Okay, they even link the checklist with their SOP. So when you go to that, their SOP, they can click it directly to the CAP checklist, and I think it's from the CAP checklist to their SOP actually. And then they even attach the example. So I found it's really helpful for the inspector, and I think it's a very helpful way to organize for the staff as well. And there are regular meetings and reminder, update, check the wall, check your drawer, making sure that you don't have the old SOP laying around. Okay. And now, as we come to a close, just a quick, oh no, it doesn't play the way it should be, but okay. Just bring it all up, COM 01200 CAP activity menus inaccurate. It could, happens from the lack of ownerships, delay or overdues, or no routine schedule to review when we are checking it or updating it. For Gen 55500, it is for non-compliance, the non-waived testings, okay, not assessed properly. And, it could be the incomplete documentations of all the 6 elements. Like I said, partials, compliance also get citations. Partial doesn't count, right? And we have a COM 1000, which is procedures menu not assessed properly. This could due to, the outdated procedures that laying around either in the wall, in the pocket of your staff, and happen to pull it up in front of the inspector. That happened as well. Okay, so all of these things just boiling down to why do these errors keep happening? Lack of reinforcement, a good habit. We need to reinforce the good habit to, our staff, making sure we reinforce what we want to see them doing, not what they have it in their memory, because they could have been working for 5 different places before they come to you. But all those, we are not following those. We're following what we are at the moment. Okay, we can improve all of this, assign ownership, use technology, use middleware, block people out if they're overdues, making sure that you have a clear communications with the people you have assigned it the task to. What are we expecting? This is what I expected, what you want you to do. This is the results I'm expecting. If there are any issues you encounter, what do you want them to do? You want them to report back? Do you want them to resolve it? Making sure that you have that conversation, so have it written in the SOP, even better. I have some post-knowledge checks, okay? What is the most significant consequence of failing to update your CAP activity menus? Am I in the way? Compliance. Yay, it's compliance issues. That's correct. That's what we've been preaching for the past hour. Okay, what is the long-term benefits of addressing root cause instead of temporarily fixing the deficiencies? Yes, right? C, the suitable compliance and quality improvement. CAP is all about improvement. We want things to improve. That's how we're moving forward together. That's the key. And what is the primary purpose of asking staff about the understandings of procedures during a CAP inspections? A, B, C, D? Yes, that's correct. C is the correct answer. And that is actually when a lot of the inspector found out that people have the old procedure printed in their pocket. Because they'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to make a mistake. Let me refer to my handy dandy printout. And then I pull it out and it's like 1988. Okay, why is it important to regularly review and retire obsolete SOP? Yes, correct. That's right. C, to ensure that staff are not accidentally follow the old SOP. Okay, I believe this is the last one. What is the main reasons for CAP expert laboratory to perform regular competency assessment? C. Yes, correct. C, to making sure that we can, perform our tasks correctly, making sure it's accurate and quality. Accurate and quality. Both should go in hand to hand. Just our final thoughts, all these top deficiencies are preventable if we can just, really take a look at it, do a root cause analysis, and reinforce the good habits. Just keep that in mind. And now we'll open for discussions if we have time.
Can you explain very briefly to the students what might happen during an inspection and how the inspector, who spends most of the time with the supervisor, can just walk up to anybody and ask them a question?
How?
Yeah, well, like, how do they usually do it?
Oh, yeah, sure. So during inspection, inspector, if you have inspector like me, they don't stay in one place. They like to walk around and then asking questions because the line staff is actually the one who performing the test. So that's where you go to. We are asking from the supervisor, right? The documentations of, when this persons get hired. If they're new, I usually ask for the semi-annual one. If it's, past the 6 months, and we just go and with our checklist, compare it with the SOP that was provided, right? To make sure that okay, you're doing it. And sometimes they may not even ask any question at all. That's happened too. And they just stand there. And I find that it's even more scary because I had one, okay? They just stand there like this. I was like, and then once in a while, I'm like, what am I doing? What do I do? Am I breathing wrong?
And then a follow-up question, how would you suggest that if a student finds something that isn't right, like somebody's doing something that's not in the procedure that they're reading, who should they talk to? And how should they say it?
The student?
Yeah.
If a student found out, would bring it to, at first, maybe try to communicate with your trainer, right? Like, am I understand this correctly? Because maybe you're still new, you maybe misunderstood what they're saying, right? Is it correct? And then if you understand correctly from what they're doing, but it is still wrong or not according to the SOP, maybe at that point, bring it up to the supervisor privately. Important, privately. Okay, you need to tell them because, like I said, who knows? Maybe that's one of those, verbally communicating, right? Hey, maybe you just detected a mistake on the SOP, not the performing text. So you don't know what happens or the history of that place. So a way to just bring it up privately, talk to the supervisor, because, and they deal with the staff and, human resources issues. Don't get involved.
Just a quick question. I know that for test performance, there's 6 elements. What about processes? Because I know there's always a distinction. Emergency release, it's a process. It's not an actual testing. From CAP's perspective, do they still require the 6 elements?
Yes. In short answer. And always also CAP does, let's say you have a questions, randomly like that. CAP, they always answer and you get your case number. If they tell you no and you get citation for it, hey, I call, this is my referral number. You said I don't need it. You won't get citation. Okay.
Thank you.
No problems. And here, thank you. Don't forget to scan and subscribe, okay? Always remember your blood tells you the story of your health.